Comrades, their commitment to our country, and their legacy of patriotism and sacrifice. By giving their lives in the cause of freedom, these heroes have protected and inspired all Americans. Sergeant at Arms, post the colors. Present arms. Order, arms. Commander Darcy Rock of American Legion Post 338, and Commander Ryan Dieter of Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 872. Please escort the Gold Star mother, Mrs. Shirley Odell, and Gold Star daughter, Mrs. Michelle Sutton, to the monument for the placing of the wreath, then seat them with the other dignitaries. Order! Arms! And I'd like to ask Reverend Paul of the Southwick Congregational Church to give the invocation.
President Theodore Roosevelt wrote these words in the early part of the 20th century. 120 years later, they ring as true as ever. Veterans, by their lives, by the record of their deeds, teach us in more practical fashion than it can be taught in any preaching. For they teach us by practice that in the ultimate analysis, the greatness of a nation is to be measured not by the output of its industrial products, not by its material prosperity, not by the products of the farm, factory, business house, but by the products of its citizenship, by the men and women that the nation produces. With this in mind, I ask you to join me in a moment of prayer according to your tradition. Holy One of many names, our strength and shield, we give you thanks for the devotion and courage of all those who have offered military service for this country, for those who have fought for freedom, for those who lay down their lives for others, for those who have borne suffering of mind or of body, for those who have brought their best gifts in times of need. On our behalf, they have entered into danger, endured separation from those they love, labored long hours and borne hardship in war and in peacetime. Lift by your mighty presence those who are now at war. Encourage and heal those in hospitals or mend their wounds at home. Guard those in any need of trouble. Hold safely in your hands all military families. And bring the returning troops to a joyful reunion and tranquil life at home. Give to us, your people, grateful hearts and a united will to honor these women and men and hold them always in our love and our prayers until your world is perfected in peace. Amen. You're on page 4.
Thank you, Reverend. We are here today to honor the men and women who stood between liberty and tyranny. We are proud to have the opportunity to speak in humble remembrance of all our veteran sacrifices, and with great hope that the simple words spoken here today will extend a perpetual awareness of their achievement to future generations. As we pause to remember what veterans have done for all of us, we need to take time to give thoughts to their families, their friends, and to those who love them. We cannot measure the depth of their dedication to our country for their support of our veterans, or they are the support that enabled the veterans to do their duties. Thank you to our friends and families for being there for us. At this time, I would like the Southwick, Towel, Granville Regional High School to perform our national anthem. Present, armed. Order, arms. I'd like to mention that yesterday, November 10th, was the 249th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. Everybody believes the Marine Corps motto is Semper Fi. Actually, it's to err is human, to forgive is divine. Neither is Marine Corps policy. And to quote Eleanor Roosevelt, the Marines I have seen around the world have the cleanest bodies, the filthiest minds, the highest morale, and the lowest morals of any group of animals I have ever seen. Thank God for the United States Marine Corps. So, from this proud Marine Taxi Service veteran to all you jarheads, happy birthday, Semper Fi, thank you for your service. I would now like to introduce our guest speaker, United States Air Force Major General Sean Collins. Sir.
Thank you so much. Boy, what a perfect day today. I couldn't ask for better, and I just want to offer it up to the band, who did a fantastic job coming down the 57, as well as just the rendition of the national anthem. So let's give up a round of applause for the great band. So I just want to say thank you all for being here today. Don't hesitate to take a step forward if you want to be a little bit closer to the love. To celebrate the service of the great Americans who have worn the uniform of our country. As a longtime Southwick resident and Massachusetts Guardsman, I want to express my appreciation for the invitation to speak to you today. especially the Southwick Parade Committee and Troy, the Vice Commander of the VFW of Massachusetts, and all those who put this special event together today. The Great War, as it was previously called, ended the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month of 1918, the date the guns fell silent of World War I, the war to end all wars. Today's celebration began under President Woodrow Wilson as Armistice Day 1 year later, on the first anniversary of the end of World War I, over 100 years ago. It wasn't until after World War II that the U.S. government changed the name to Veterans Day. In his proclamation, Wilson stated, "Reflections of Armistice Day will be filled with solemn pride in the heroism of those who died in the country's service, and with gratitude for the victory, both because of things from which it has freed us and because of the opportunity it has given America to show her sympathy with peace and justice and councils of the nations." The National Guard, specifically Massachusetts, and the New England states played a unique role in the World War I. During World War I, the 26th Infantry Division of the Massachusetts Army National Guard, known as the Yankee Division, was the largest unit in New England. Nearly every Massachusetts resident had a relative or friend serving in that division. The Yankee Division was involved in several battles and spent more than 200 days in active combat. The division was remembered for enduring an onslaught of attacks at a time when the U.S. armed forces were not well organized. The division was the first for the United States to arrive in France and arguably saw the second most combat after the regular Army 1st Division. Today is a day of observance that is intended to honor the veterans of all wars, the significant sacrifices of those with us today that have served in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, the Gulf War, and the global war on terrorism are recognized. And today is a special day of heroes. In every era since the founding, when our freedom has been threatened, a new generation of military and National Guard warriors has stepped forward in freedom's defense. Since 2001, 2.77 million service members have served in 5.4 million deployments across the world. Again, 2.77 million service members have deployed since 2001. The majority were under 30 years old on average, and over half were married and about half had children. National Guard members have supported more than 1 million overseas deployments. This is an important thing to remember, to support our Guards member, which I am one of, in your community, and their families. A few National Guard members you may not heard about: Presidents Theodore Roosevelt, New York National Guard; Harry S. Truman, Missouri National Guard; George Bush, Texas National Guard. But before Charles Lindbergh famously made the first solo nonstop flight across the Atlantic Ocean, he served with the Missouri National Guard, honing his skills as a flight instructor. He also flew 50 combat missions in the Pacific. The Kentucky National Guard Sergeant Lee Ann Hester, a military police soldier, was part of a convoy in Iraq when her squad was ambushed by 50 insurgents. Maneuvering her squad through the kill zone, they quickly flanked the enemy and cut off their escape route. After a 25-minute firefight, 27 insurgents were dead, 6 were wounded, and 1 captured. She is the first woman since World War II to be awarded the Silver Star for actions against enemy forces. Captain Tammy Duckworth was an Illinois National Guard pilot flying a mission over Iraq when her Black Hawk was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. Despite sustaining injuries that would require her to lose both legs, Duckworth's gallantry earned her an Air Medal and the Purple Heart. Determined to continue her service, Duckworth sought and obtained a medical waiver, allowing her to eventually retire as a lieutenant colonel. She went on to become the Assistant Secretary for Veterans Affairs, and today she is a U.S. Senator. Guardsmen and women are teachers, lawyers, engineers, medics, first responders, and hold every profession in their civilian life. But foremost, they are veterans. They are part of an elite group who have served honorably and answered our nation's call to arms and continue to play that vital role in the world's greatest military. These are the same guardsmen and women you witnessed rescuing neighbors, clearing heavily damaged roads, delivering food and water after hurricanes, flooding, and snowstorms. They are also partnered with 80 nations around the world, helping to strengthen our allies through the State Partnership Program. As we all know, security just doesn't happen. It demands effort, sacrifice, courage, and commitment. Today, we salute the service of all veterans, and we keep in our thoughts and prayers the fallen, the missing, and those who are currently serving today in harm's way. We also remember that honoring those who have served isn't just about what we say here today. This service and heroism has been demonstrated time and time again, from veterans from the American Revolutionary War to the global war on terrorism. For many veterans, protecting our nation's way of life was important enough to endure long separations from their families, miss their births of their children, endure temperature extremes, lose limbs, and far too often lose their lives. Those who defend us from our enemies must be supported. No matter where their service brings them, we need to serve our veterans as well as they serve us. While our debt to these heroes can never be repaid, our gratitude and respect must endure. There are approximately 16.2 million veterans alive today. In fact, the veteran population was 18.6 million in 2017. You can already see the drop. And it's projected to decrease to 12.9 million in 2040. We lose veterans every day. Less than 0.5% of our population is currently serving in uniform, defending our freedoms. Truly a special breed of servicemen and women today. I want to read a citation from a recent Medal of Honor recipient who I had the pleasure to meet with a few years ago. It's Sergeant Ryan M. Pitts. He distinguished himself by extraordinary acts of heroism at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty while serving as a forward observer of the 2nd Platoon, Chosen Company, 2nd Battalion Airborne, 503rd Infantry Regiment, 173rd Airborne Brigade during combat operations against the armed enemy on a vehicle patrol at Base Kelhar in the vicinity of Wayanad Village in Kunar Province, Afghanistan on July 13, 2008. Early that morning, while Sergeant Pitts was providing perimeter security at Observation Post Topside, a well-organized anti-Afghan force consisting of over 200 members initiated a close proximity, sustained, and complex assault using accurate and intense rocket-propelled grenade, machine gun, and small arms fire on his vehicle patrol base. An immediate wave of rocket-propelled grenades rounds engulfed the observation post, wounding Sergeant Pitts and inflicting heavy casualties. Sergeant Pitts had been knocked to the ground and was bleeding heavily from shrapnel wounds to his arms and legs. With incredible toughness and resolve, he subsequently took control of the observation post and returned fire on the enemy. As the enemy drew nearer, Sergeant Pitts threw grenades, holding them after the pin was pulled and safety lever was released to a nearly immediate detonation until the hostile forces were near. Unable to stand on his own and near death because of the severity of his wounds and blood loss, Sergeant Pitts continued to lay suppressive fire until a 2-man reinforcement team arrived. Sergeant Pitts quickly assisted them by giving up his main weapon and gathering ammunition, all while continuously lobbing fragmentary grenades until they were all expended. At this point, Sergeant Pitts crawled to the northern position and radioed, described the situation to the command post as the enemy continued to try and isolate the observation deck. I read you that because this is the type of fighting that our men and women that returning from OIF and OEF have faced. And that was one true hero that I had the great opportunity to meet. But there are so many of them among us. We must remember them. We must appreciate them all. They deserve our thanks and respect. I was speaking recently at a veterans event and addressed the sacrifice of families of those who serve. Families of those who wear the uniform also serve. They are left behind to manage at the home front, in addition to the burden of constant worry for their loved ones. During my life, I've had the opportunity to meet many veterans, and with the many generations I was lucky to have met. World War I veterans at the Holyoke Soldiers Home. It was an important conversation to have with those veterans over 50 years ago. It's important to talk to our veterans today. We need to hear them, especially those of our younger generation. Please speak to all the veterans you see here today to have a better understanding of what they endured.
Their wisdom and insight cannot be lost. I currently have the honor to serve as the chairman of the Board of Trustees of the newly named Veterans Home in Holyoke, and attended the topping off ceremony last Friday with Governor Healy and Congressman Neal. This is a state-of-the-art facility for our elderly veterans and will provide the care with dignity they deserve. After nearly 3 decades of service, I have had the opportunity to oversee the support of my brothers and sisters, to work with overseas with my brothers and sisters in uniform, having supported combat tours for Kosovo, 2 tours in Iraq and Afghanistan. I saw firsthand the dedication to service. The sacrifice was real in harsh environments, challenging combat situations for extended periods of time. Our members perform superbly. Some have physical reminders, and others with invisible wounds. To me, they are all heroes. Having grown up in the shadow of the Vietnam War, watching war footage as a young boy on television, it made an impact on me. And the special place in my heart I have for our Vietnam veterans, I just want to say, welcome home. Those of us who have served overseas can write out a long list of things that they have missed when with their loved ones when they were away. But we see this as our job to do, not a sacrifice, but it's our duty. Those on the home front carry the burden. I had a great opportunity a few years ago to meet Len Gardner and his wonderful wife, Dolores. Len was a 20-year-old signalman striker on the USS Reed. Gardner and his shipmates were swept into the maelstrom of war on the Japanese attack on the American fleet at Pearl Harbor. He saw firsthand the carnage of the attack. When I met him, he was receiving an honorary doctorate from UMass Amherst. And when he went to the mic, he stated he wasn't going to talk about the attack. The only thing he said was, "I want to remind everyone that freedom is not free." And he walked off the stage. It was quite a moment, actually. What else did he need to say? He said it all. Len has since passed, like so many of our heroes. I also had the honor of becoming a good friend with a local hero, Sergeant Howard Seifert, featured in the book The Marsman of Burma, where he served as a combat medic. He was awarded the Purple Heart for the injuries he sustained during battle. Unfortunately, he passed away last year at the age of 104. I wanted to share one last quote from General Douglas MacArthur. "It is my earnest hope, indeed the hope of all mankind, that from this solemn occasion a better world shall emerge out of the blood and carnage of the past, a world found upon faith and understanding, a world dedicated to the dignity of man and the fulfillment of his most cherished wish for freedom, tolerance, and justice." How do we reflect these words today? Having served with and met so many heroes over the years, I am reminded by the quote made by Captain Winters of the famed Band of Brothers. Captain Winters was speaking about a letter from one of his unit members, and it was addressed, "Grandpa, were you a hero during the war?" He answered, "I was not a hero, but I served with a company of heroes." The irony was the fact. We need an ambulance? Do we have an ambulance here? We got the fire department here. Let's all just take a moment of silence. I appreciate, just want to give a round of applause for our fire department, our police department that's here. Keeps us safe here in Southwick. I saw smiles, and probably smiles because I'm getting to the end. So as they move on to the next step for our patient here, I just want to say, so this November 11th, reflect with pride on the service and accomplishments of our veterans. If you meet a veteran, please be certain to thank them for all they have done for us, our nation, our communities, and our military. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time and the invitation to speak today.
Thank you, General. I now call on Jason Perrin from the Southwick Select Board to say a few things. Is he still here? Yep.
Sir? General, it's a tough act to follow. Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, fellow veterans, and family members, today we gather to celebrate and honor the bravery, sacrifice, and service of our veterans. Veterans Day isn't just a day off from work or a chance to enjoy a sale at the local store. It's a solemn reminder of the commitment made by those who wore the uniform and the families who stood beside them. For many of us, serving in the military was a calling, an opportunity to stand up for our values and to protect the freedoms we hold dear. Each of us has our own story. For some, it was the thrill of adventure, and for others, it was the desire to make a difference. As an Air Force veteran, I am proud to have played a part in safeguarding our nation's security. My time in service not only taught me invaluable skills, but instilled in me a profound sense of duty and responsibility toward our country and communities. On behalf of all veterans and service members, I extend my deepest gratitude to the families who bear the weight of our service. They experienced the long deployments, the worry, and the sleepless nights. They sacrificed so much so that we can serve while knowing their loved ones are in harm's way. Their strength and support enables us to fulfill our responsibilities as we safeguard our country. Service in the military shapes us in ways we often can't quantify. It molds our character, teaches us perseverance in the face of adversity, and the importance of camaraderie. The lessons I learned during my time in the Air Force, leadership, respect, and integrity, have stayed with me long after I hung up my uniform. And today I rely on these lessons to guide my actions and decisions that I make here and everywhere else. Serving our country is not confined to the time we spend in uniform. The honor and privilege of service lives on in all of us, veterans and civilians alike. It is a lifelong commitment to ensuring that our nation remains strong, our freedoms protected. It's easy to remember our veterans today, but we must also pledge to honor and support them every day of the year. Let us not forget those returning from service, struggling with the physical and mental scars, and let us advocate for the resources they need and support their reintegration into life. As we reflect on the sacrifices made by our veterans and their families, please take a moment of silence for those who have paid the ultimate price for our freedom. Thank you. I want to thank everyone today, as do my fellow veterans, for your understanding, kindness, and unwavering support, not just today, but every day. It has been an honor to speak here today, just as it was my honor to serve this country and all of you during my time in the military. On behalf of myself and veterans everywhere, thank you all for your support, and God bless the United States of America.
Thank you. Every comrade has served this nation well, standing between the enemy and us, between good and evil, between freedom and tyranny. Their service came not as a burden, but as a duty. Individual freedom, justice, equality, and opportunity have been sustained because of them. Today we celebrate not only the past, but recognize the selfless service and sacrifices of our present-day heroes. Today, around the world, our men and women in uniform stand guard, guaranteeing and protecting liberty. Veterans Day celebrates and reaffirms from year to year a national act of enthusiasm and faith. It originates back to 1919 when President Woodrow Wilson commemorated the first anniversary of the World War I armistice. It was officially recognized as a federal holiday in 1938 and became known as Veterans Day in 1954. We must remember that Veterans Day means to honor all members of the United States Armed Forces, in both wartime and peacetime. Today is the day we say thank you for those freedoms that our military members have secured for us. Today, all Americans are encouraged to pay respect and honor the contribution of all our living and deceased soldiers. It is time to reflect on the sacrifices and services of all veterans. Let us keep all veterans and their families in our prayers, not just today, but long after we leave here. At this time, we'll hear another selection from the Southwick Townsend Granville Regional School Board. It is a medley of the services. When your service is played, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Thank you. You'll now have the solemn salute with taps. Honor guard, 10, hut! Present, arms. Order, arms. Commander Rock and Commander Dieter, please escort the Gold Star mother to her car. Present, arms. Order, arms. On behalf of the American Legion and the VFW, I would like to thank all the various organizations, the Southwick Tolland Regional High School Band, our selectmen, and our guest speaker, Major General Collins of the United States Air Force, for their participation in today's Veterans Day services. I would like to also thank everybody who attended today. It is very much appreciated for showing your support to our veterans. Let us leave here today knowing that our destiny as a free people is entirely up to us. Let each of our remaining days be guided by the memory of those who fight and have fought for our freedoms. You are all cordially invited for refreshments at the American Legion Post Home at 46 Powder Mill Road. Thank you and God bless America. Sergeant at Arms, retrieve the colors. Present, arms.